So that is new from Little Dragon, and it is time to welcome my live guests on the show today. I've got Do No Harm in the studio.
Yo!
Finn, Jess and Owen. Hey guys, thanks so much for coming in.
Oh, thank you.
It's lovely to see you. And of course, I mean, new band, not new to the game. I've known you, Jess, for a while because you've put out music as yourself, Jess Mills, and then also Slow. And then you two, Finn and Owen, you guys have been making music for a long time as well, haven't you? So
yeah, too long.
So welcome. I guess just tell us a little bit about how this group kind of came to be, because you've all known each other for a long time, haven't you?
Well, yeah. Obviously me and Jess are married, so that's pretty cosy in itself. And me and Owen have known each other for forever. We were in White Rose Movement together, and then Genaflex and Stoner. And I suppose we're kind of family as well, because my brother has a child with his sister. Just kind of gross.
So, don't start tugging at the family thread, because it gets pretty rowdy. Yeah.
You know, so we just kind of we're very close. We don't know anyone else. We're kind of remote, hermetic, and incestuous. That's our USP.
Love it.
Yeah. I mean, he said it all. Yeah, basically. But yeah, no, we're married, and you know, Owen is like family to us. So it was a kind of.
He's our changeling child.
Yeah. It was a pretty. Yeah, I mean, I this is the first sort of thing properly I've done in music for a really long time. I was recording under my name. I was recording as Jess Mills, and then I had a separate project called Slow, which you really sweetly supported at the time as well. Yeah. But this is it was a natural evolution, I suppose, of just being friends and family, and all kind of really needing to come back to music after some pretty big life events in all of our lives in the last few years. And I actually haven't really been doing much music properly since after 2015, when my life sort of diversified a lot and got into the world of campaigning and activism, as I'm a founding member of Choose Love, and then I run another charity called the Tessa Jowell Foundation, leading my mum's legacy. And so it's all been a big moment of sort of coming home really for me. Yeah. And the gigs that we did, the first gigs that we did, were the first shows I've done in 10 years. So it's been
dusting of the cobwebs.
Yeah,
but it probably didn't feel too like that. Was it kind of like muscle memory? Like as soon as you threw yourself back in, it was just.
We were really lucky that literally the first shows that we did, and the first time these songs were ever played, was on tour with Beth Orton. Beth asked us to join her as support for her UK tour about 6 months ago, which was pretty amazing. Yeah. Like context to start playing this music, and I mean, Open, for example, that song didn't really exist until we started doing those shows, so it really came to life by doing it live. Yeah.
So how did you start writing then? Was it stuff that, you know, was there one of you that would lead the writing process, or was it just actually just saying, hey, let's all get in the studio and then figure it out from there? Well,
I mean, so many of the songs had been written by Finn, and then they sort of came to life through literally him like singing songs while I was making spaghetti bolognese for our kids for dinner. And just, I mean, it really was that, you know, and then suddenly hearing the two voices together, and then, you know, suddenly we had a few songs, and then Owi's always round, so he would be like picking up the bass and playing, and then we're like, hold on a second, we've actually got like 5 songs that actually sound like we like them, and should we just try and record them? And so
you've kind of described some kind of utopia.
Yeah.
It does sound pretty dreamy, guys. I'm not gonna lie.
No, throwing loads of really rowdy children and like domestic chaos and spaghetti, spaghetti on the walls, all of that. But then it was really, that's just kind of how it was, pretty symbiotic like that. And then we were really lucky to connect with Ali Chant, who's like become like pretty integral to our sort of process. He's a producer that we recorded the last EP with and Open, and he's, you know, he'd made some of our favourite records in the last 10 years or so that was really great, you know, Aldous Harding, Perfume Genius, Dry Cleaning, and Seb Roachwood of Polar Bear as well. So the project has sort of very much been in collaboration with them.
Yeah. Sounds great. Damascene was the first But that was the first taster. Or actually, was there a track before? No, Damascene was the first taster. When was that? Kind of end of last year? Or end
well
of summer?
done, Georgie. You know better than we do. Yeah, end of last year.
I remember because I saw you post about it.
No idea.
Yeah.
I saw you post. I remember usually really terrible with dates, but for some reason I remember.
No, thank you for that.
But yeah, I saw you posted it, Jess, and I was like, oh, I'm really excited to hear more.
Aww.
And obviously, like, I mean, I am a huge fan of like Radiohead and Portishead and Wild Beasts and all those kind of bands, and I feel like there's a little bit of that kind of creeping into this.
Oh, thank you.
That's
highest praise to us.
Good references.
But where would you guys say your influences had kind of come from for this? Because it's a little bit different, I suppose. It's not massively different to what you were doing as Slow, but like it's a progression.
It's a hybrid
It's
of our different worlds, and we occupy different worlds.
I don't know. Influences kind of referentially. I just don't think it's like that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, at this point in my life, our lives, I think, you know, in our frail dotage, it's like your output is almost kind of like an intuitive kind of response to everything you've ever listened to, you know, which is a lot.
Yeah,
it's so true.
It's a lot.
Stay
You know,
over in Jacana.
but there was more like kind of a, I suppose, a kind of maybe like subliminal, unspoken credo, just kind of striving for kind of an emotional purity, being generous and honest, and you know, about being, like, I suppose, a connection.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely it does.
Sounds highly pretentious, I'm sorry.
No, but it's true.
But that's what we all strive for, isn't it? Especially having gone through some crazy dark times as a world, on a global level, with the pandemic and everything. It's like connection's more important than ever, really.
I think that is the thing that this project really it kind of shoots from the heart, really, and I think Finn's put it really well. It's kind of like an amalgamation of everything that's distilled. But those references that you made, yeah, of course. I mean, that's an amazing thing for us to hear back, because also when you're so close to the music, you can't hear it in those terms. But you know, there's something around singing, you know, the two voices operating together, which has, I think, some obvious kind of reference points, like all the way back from, like, you know, like Richard and Linda Thompson references to, I don't know, bands like We Get Low quite a lot as well, you know. But that's just an obvious male-female dynamic thing, I think. But it's all good. I mean, all of those are high praise to us. Yeah.
What about Damascene then? Tell me a little bit about it, and then we'll play it before we play Open, which is the newest track. But let's enjoy a bit of this. But yeah, tell me, is there like a story behind it, or, you know, you might
honestly can't remember.
Oh, Finn, come on.
My mind is shot. I don't know.
It's making me good up.
Yeah. You think about it when it's playing. And what if you say, we'll go with that.
Well, it was one of the first songs that really sort of came forward in this, you know, context of cooking spaghetti bolognese and, like, you know, in the chaos of domesticity. Yeah. But it was one of the ones that really came into focus most quickly, I think. And I guess from a sort of songwriting and arrangement perspective, the vocals that we do together really, you know, when you live with somebody and you know them as intimately inside out as we do, there is a certain, I guess, kind of symbiosis to how those vocals interact, almost where there's not much thought that goes, do you know what I mean? It just happens in a very sort of natural way, I suppose. We're almost without thinking, really. And this was the first song that really sort of took form, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, let's play it. It's beautiful. This is Damascene by Do No Harm, is the musical project, and we'll chat more after this. So that is Damascene by Do No Harm, my live guests on the show this month. I've got Finn, Jess and Owen in the studio. Definitely Jess, like right up there in the highest bit of your range.
I know, seriously.
How is it performing that on live?
That's actually Owen singing it.
Yeah, it's actually Owen. Like, it's, you know what, I've used my voice in a completely different way with this music, and that is just not a way that I would have sung previously with my solo stuff. But it's definitely there is a different way that I'm singing on this, which is really nice. I think, to be honest, it comes from the confidence of singing with somebody else, and what that does for your ability to, like, lean and reach for new things. I think I certainly feel that.
Yeah, and also it not just being about the one voice, it's sort of like letting both voices have their moment.
Their moment, yeah,
I don't know
definitely.
how to put it. Was there anything, obviously you had this really kind of like quite, well, I mean, over a decade, I don't know, I wouldn't know, like 15 years or 10, 15 years or whatever in music.
Yeah.
Putting out music as Jess Mills and then Slow. Was there anything that you kind of like brought into this project, or to counteract that, was there anything that you kind of needed to just shake off?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, so I mean, we've all had kind of extensive careers in music before now, and I guess, yeah, mine started off as a solo artist and also writing pop songs for other people, and then I was vocalist for Left Field, and definitely the sort of Left Field gig that I was doing for about 3 years, sort of, it cuts your teeth on the big stages and gives you that hit and brings you, I think brings you some of that sense of ambition for what can be possible when it, you know, when things really go. And so I think, you know, I went through a massive learning curve, particularly being signed to major labels, seeing how all the possibility that can provide, but also how creatively sort of quite crushing I could find that environment. And I think moving on to Slow, that was just about doing everything completely on my own terms, and I set up my own label and, you know, had a really good run with that project. You know, I felt proud of that record, and I suppose coming into this thing, it's just about, you know, at this point it's about just doing something that I know it sounds really simple, but doing something really that we just love. And particularly when it comes, I think for all of us, if we were to think about, you know, what success could look like for this, it would be in live, you know, in the live experience of like playing big shows. And I think certainly, you know, that's where we hope the next sort of few years is going to take us. You know, we did our own first little like headline show a couple of months ago, which sold out, which was really nice. And, you know, looking out and starting to see an audience which is not just your friends like at the front, you know, that's an amazing feeling. And we really, Finn said it earlier, but it's just about being really generous with this project and shooting from the heart, and you know, doing as much live as possible, I suppose.
Yeah. And what about you guys? Was there anything that you learned from
our past
previous
endeavours?
Yeah, lots of bands.
Distrust of management.
General malaise and distrust of the industry. No.
Well, I mean, yeah, we had so much fun. But I suppose, you know, we did kind of massive shows with White Rose. You know, we played with 9 Inch Nails and all sorts of like bands, and went around the world. And it was such a kind of great experience, and you know, I miss that. I miss kind of playing big shows where, you know, the intimate ones are the hard ones when you see the whites of people's eyes.
Hell yes.
But yeah, and you know, I miss kind of collaborating with people. With the Genaflex outfit, we did a record with Dave Sitek out in LA, which was a really great experience as well. And you know, I've been getting a bit of that with Ali as well, but I just want to do more and more and more, you know.
Yeah. It's like you guys know each other so well, you've like created a really like safe space to just let this project fly now.
Totally.
And so it's like the gates are open.
You know what, Georgie, it's nice that you said that, because I think at this point as well, I think we've worked out a way to work and just to make it work. And so like the recording sessions, for example, have been really straightforward. You know, we're recording a whole track in a day. It just feels like it just feels really, really straightforward at the moment. Long may that last. But yeah.
You're pretty mobile units, 3 as well.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
One car.
It was amazing because when we were on tour, we'd pack up into one car, and you know, because the way we do things like this is just incredibly lean and, you know, as powerful as possible, but you know, really kind of stripped down to kind of core components. But yeah, you're a kind of movable feast. You just kind of chuck it around the country, and you know, it feels good to be kind of light, you know, and dynamic.
Yeah. And down the line, when you're playing massive shows, it'll be easy because you can just bring the kids on tour. Or maybe not.
Have you met our kids? They'd literally be climbing the rig. No, they actually would.
Until they can carry an amp.
Okay, maybe not. Maybe this could be your fun time, you know, leave the kids at home. Do they think it's kind of cool that mum and dad are in a band together?
They do. It's really funny hearing them sing like little noodles of the the melodies are they're very musical in themselves. I don't think they really understand. You know, I don't think they really understand. Like often when we start playing music, I'm like, "Mummy, stop it!" You know, they just but
well, they love music.
They love
sing
music
constantly.
Yeah. Friends of ours that come round to our house, so you do realise your kids do not stop singing the whole time. But I think we're just so used to it, we sort of zone out of it. We're not aware of it. But no, they love music. It sort of underpins our whole life, I suppose.
I mean, obviously would dissuade them and get them to be accountants or something.
So tell me a little bit about the new track Open, and also just, I guess, plans for the year ahead and how and where it might take you. And what about Open? This is the next single that's just come out in the last, you just put it online in the last few days,
Well, we recorded this as well with Ali and Seb, and we wanted to create a little bit of a gear change from Damascene, and we think can tell you a little bit more about the writing and
it's a song that came about. I was reading this book by this Polish author called Olga Tokarczuk, and it's basically about this guy who he's a real man, but he in the kind of mid 1700s he kind of believed he was the next Messiah, the new Messiah, kind of second coming, and he had this kind of coterie of disciples, but among the kind of top brass of kind of like rabbi intellectuals, and there was this one guy who was kind of wrote his kind of apostles, and he and his gospel and his but he was kind of in love with him, I suppose. Even though this guy was completely dysfunctional and depraved and complicated. So, I mean, although the song's not directly about that, that's the kind of the backstory to it, you know. And I guess it's more just kind of how everyone's kind of slightly looking for, you know, a connection to the divine or meaning or, you know, something. You know, you get it in music, you get it in other things, but it's...
And the sort of like complex relationship with devotion, which is, take it out of that that backstory, is something I think we can all relate to, whether that be, you know, with the person that you love, you know, and how devotion can also tear you apart, even if it's just in relationship with another person in ordinary life. So I think, as ever, it's just there is, you know, once you start writing a song and once the lyrics exist, in a way it takes on a whole new life and a whole new meaning, and it's got to be something that other people can find themselves within, you know, and almost like as soon as it's been written, it means something else entirely.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because these things live through being in other people's lives, and so we hope that the lyrics feel really generous and things that, you know, places that people can find themselves and their lives in as well, you know.
Yeah. No, it's gorgeous, and it's got that kind of like driving beat and a really lovely build on it. It sounds really good, and you've got a little video out there as well, which is very. Also
we did the video with Steve Gullick, who actually did the Damascene video as well.
Oh, really? Yeah, they're both sort of in the same world.
Yeah.
He's amazing, Steve. He's a bit of, you know, he's a legend. He I guess the thing that he's well known for is he shot some of the very sort of iconic photographs of Kurt Cobain back in the day, and then he makes beautiful films, and we worked with him. He'd just come off shooting for months with PJ Harvey, all of the stuff for her new record, and he's amazing to work with. I mean, we shot the whole video in like 4 hours, and it's just, you know, it's amazing working with people you really trust on those things, because videos can go horrifically wrong. But with Steve, you just kind of know
It's hilarious though, because he absolutely hates making videos.
Yeah.
And we always like pressure him, like, one more.
He's all right,
Wow, just do it for us.
Be easy this time. And then really put it through the rim.
Yeah,
well, I mean, the results are very effortless. You know, they look great.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'll tell him that.
Thank you so much for coming in, guys. What can we expect? Is there going to be some more singles kind of as the year rolls out, or a record, or what's the next step?
Yeah, so we've got a kind of, we can see the sort of next releases for the next sort of 3 or 4 releases we've got kind of lined up, so that feels exciting, and each one I think is like a really nice progression in the sound and the scope of the project. And live stuff, we'll be building up to doing another headline show in the autumn, and then a record album coming out next year. That's what we're working towards.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Well, people can find you on Instagram and socials and things. Do No Harm is the project. And thank you guys. Thanks for coming in and talking about it.
Pleasure.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for having
Really
us.
nice, and I'm loving it. So I can't wait to hear more. And this is the second single. It's not the second single, but it's the first single. We've just had it basically. Can't try and put it a bit more articulately. This is the new single.
You said it, Ben. You said it.
Thanks, guys. Finn, Jess, and Owen. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Cool, thank
Georgie.
you.